Okay, so we might as well get this review on the way for this particular tomato, because I am going to review it. This plant has absolutely been devastated by blight. This was a self-watering container that I was going to fill, and I guess a tomato fell in the center of it by the, towards the end of the year, and it sprouted, so I left it go. I got plenty going on anyway, so I figured, just let it go, let it do its thing, right? And I did, and it got blighted, and now you can see the effects of the blight. Totally devastating the plant. I'm not going to save it. As soon as this thing's done curing up these tomatoes on me, ripening up these tomatoes on me, I'm pretty much going to rip this out so I can get the soil out, get new soil in. I'm going to plant one of my peppers inside of this thing and get it inside the greenhouse. So I just did this for now to get some of these tomatoes out early, because this particular plant put out tomatoes in June, and they're just coming into ripening now, and this is roughly mid-July, something like that. But yeah, they make these little tomatoes, these little grape tomatoes. These are more like this isn't their normal shape. This is more like their normal shape. They usually you get tons of them like this. This is a little weird. They're not normally round, pear-shaped like that, like a grape tomato. They're not normally shaped like that. This is perfectly ready to be eaten. What are you doing over here? He's bothering me. Disturbed my train of thought. You see that, what you did? Alright, so yeah, he's in the weeds over there looking for those chipmunks. He chases. Yeah, I don't have any problems with birds or anything around here. Nothing will come in this yard. He's great for that. He chases everything out of here. No squirrels, no birds, not even the chipmunks come around anymore. I had problems with mice in the greenhouse. Not anymore. Keep that greenhouse open. So here it is. This is a prolific producer. In fact, it can get out of control. Once it adapts to your environment, this thing will grow so prolifically around your yard, you will be pulling them like you pull dandelions. You can see they're literally growing all over the place. I had to pull out over I'd say close to 200 tomato plants this year. I don't know if it was all this species, but I pulled up 200, and I'm pretty sure this was one of them. The Everglades, another tomato that I'm going to do a video on, and I'm going to warn you about. When you buy those seeds and you plant them, they can absolutely get out of control. Once you get them in your garden, you can't get rid of them. You could see what they did to my garden over there. I'll show you that in a second. Anyway, I'm going to taste this really quick. I don't know what else to say about it. This plant is dying. I got several other of these coming in, so once they start producing fruit, I'll just do an update with it so you can see the plant and everything. But not really acidic. Could have been unripened. They're usually really sweet. Let me see if I can dig up another one here. Oh, here's a nice one. Oh, I love these with salt. I usually keep a little bag of salt in my pocket. I split them open like this. If I could do it with one hand. Like that. Put a little salt on that. Just like that. Sick as this plant is, boy, I'll have to say, these tomatoes are delicious. They're absolutely delicious, guys, and it's a producer. Man, this is one of those small tomato types, cherry type tomatoes. Once you get these established, you'll be eating the problem is this thing will produce so many tomatoes, you can't eat all tomatoes because you have other tomatoes you're growing. You're growing some of the beefsteaks and some of the other heirloom tomatoes. And this thing just, you could fill your belly up on this, just picking through one plant, and you could do that every single day. That's how many tomatoes. Once this thing starts ripening, like now, you see I just picked those two. This just started coming in the ripe. Within a week, these will all be ripened up. I'll be eating these things like blueberries off a bush, you know. Let me just show you what happens with this when this plant gets out of control, what it'll do. Let me get by my collards. This is what happens. I pulled so many tomato plants out of here, it's absolutely ridiculous. And they still kept coming up. I couldn't keep up with it. I just gave up after a while. And my beets are in there. I don't know if you can see my beets. I'm hoping they'll survive the life cycle of the rest of these tomatoes until they produce fruit. And then I'm going to yank them once they get some fruit. Or the potatoes also caused a serious problem in this garden. Just ruined my whole thing. This was all planted. It's not happening. That's what can happen with these tomatoes if you let them go out of control. Like a few tomatoes must have gotten the soil, and I dumped the soil out in here, and now they're everywhere. They just ruined my crops. They just over prolific. I ain't gonna let this happen again. I see any tomatoes next year, I'm pulling everything out. Here's the rhizotrope. That's another one. This is another one that can get out of control. The rhizotrope. That's another one. You got to be on top of it because this thing produces clusters of tomatoes. Let me show you one flower cluster. This is a flower cluster. You see that? You see how many tomatoes are going to come off of one of those clusters? And those clusters almost ripen simultaneously. So just to give you a quick idea on what you're dealing with when you're growing these small tomato varieties, because they're almost like a weed once they get out of control. You better make sure you're able to pick up all tomatoes that fall, because if you don't, they're coming up. Whether you plant something in its place or not, and then you got to remember to pull it. And if you're planting other tomatoes in there, what ends up happening is you don't know which tomato's which after a while, because they start to grow together, and you don't want to yank the ones you just planted and grew and everything out. And that's kind of what happened to me, you know, because I did plant a couple of tomatoes over there, you know. I planted, I had a bunch of extras that I planted from the greenhouse, because I planted like 3 or 4 of each, and I didn't want to throw them out, so I planted them in there. But some of these were growing in between all of them, and I don't know which is which, and I didn't want to damage them. Anyway, that's the look at the yellow pear cherry tomato. Alright, so this is all I have on this. I don't have the seed packs anymore. Like I said, I bought these some time ago. I put 2012, but that's when I think I got them, and I started doing them. I remember having these tomatoes growing before I actually built that greenhouse, and I built it in 2012, so it's somewhere in that area of time. So these tomatoes have been reproducing themselves since I put them in the ground, just to give you an idea how many years they last. Alright, so this is all, like I say, this is all I got in. And this is exactly what they're going to be looking like when you see all those tomatoes in this image. It absolutely gets that dense and more. I mean, you're talking bucket full of these things. You get to a point where you just can't, you actually can't stand them anymore. You eat so many of them, you don't even want to eat them anymore. That's how many it makes, you know. But this is all the details I got on it. Alright. And I bought these seeds at the dollar store. They had sometimes they'll have like 5 for $1 if you go into your local dollar store. Certain times of the year, you'll see 5 for $1. I think what they do is they go to Walmart and they do what I do, and I get 10 for $1, the packs, and then they buy those, you know, $200-300 worth of them, and they stock them in their stores, and they sell them for 5 for $1, so they double their profit. So I believe that's what they do, but because that's what I do. You know, I just go into Walmart and make an offer to the manager or the supervisor, and 9 out of 10 times they take it because they just want to get rid of the seeds already. It's out of season, it's time to go. Alright, so that's the yellow pear cherry tomato from the dollar store.